Since the last time we spoke, I released a lathe stand video. And the nice thing about that, I showed you guys how I did it, but the nice thing about it was that is the very first stand that I have ever had for my lathe. Usually it's bolt or clamp it to a table or a bench or something, just clamping it to it. And I really wanted a stand that was dedicated for my lathe. It wouldn't come off there. Finally got that now. Real happy with the way it turned out. I initially built it way higher because I personally I like my benches like really high. More closer to like 40s where I like them. But I like them really high because I don't know, I just have a tendency of when I'm working on something, I'm bent over a lot trying to get real close to it or whatever. That way, if I have it real high up, I don't have a tendency of doing that. I built that stand that way, threw my lathe on top of it, and realized it is way too high because the chisels were going to be like chest height. And I was like, no, that ain't gonna work. So I had to shorten it up about a foot. But it worked out. It looked good. It's all reused wood. Threw some paint on it. Looked pretty nice, really, I think. The next thing for that is I'm going to have to build a cart to actually set the stand into it and to attach it. And I'll have a mobile stand. Because with your lathes, sometimes as you're using them, they'll start shaking real bad. And that ain't going to help you any. And a good way to doing that, to get rid of it, is to, I've seen people throw sandbags at the bottom of their cart. And that'll actually add weight and stability to it. So I don't know if I'll have to do that, but I'll have a cart anyway, so we'll go from there. And I've got some ideas for some organizing the chisels and the chucks and things like that. I'm not sure if I want to put that on the cart or the wall behind it. I'm not really sure yet. I'm just going to have to play that one by ear because I might end up needing the wall space. I don't know. Another thing is I'm not sure if I'll need to add a sandbag or not. That's something I'll just have to try it. But for right now, I can tell you that lathe is actually pretty heavy. If it was any heavier, I'd almost have to have a second guy just to help me. A shop update on my wood shed. I got the plywood up on the roof, which is one more step closer. I'm hoping this coming weekend I will actually be able to throw some shingles on it and get that roof done. The tarp right now ain't working out so great. It did its job, but once I threw that plywood down, I just draped the tarp over it just for the time, and we had a couple of storms come through, and I walk into my shed afterwards and I see several wet spots on my floor. So yeah, we gotta do something about that right away. But I'm hoping this next weekend I'll get some shingles up on it, get the drip edge on it, and finally have a good roof on there. I got a little bit of work on the walls that I need to do. Just get them finished, nailed up, sealed up. I think I have like 3 sheets left that I gotta seal, and then up by the rafters on the back side. And then got one more window I gotta put in, and that will be that, and I will be able to paint, and then it's just a matter of trim, and the outside is done after that. I'm super excited because once all that's done, I can actually get all my woodworking tools into that other shed, and they won't be scattered out between this shed, my plastic shed, some in the wood shed, some over here, some over there. They'll actually be in one spot where I can organize them and actually start making more efficient time than just trying to track down tools. The inside of my shed, that one I'm just going to have to do little by little as it comes. Once I get the outside done, the next step is definitely to get some power into there. I did get some wires ran, a few outlets put in their places where I think I'm going to want them. I haven't got anything, there is no power in there right now, but I just got the wire just ran. And right now I'm using one extension cord, which is driving me absolutely insane to unplug this tool to plug that tool in, and it gets drives me insane. And once I get the outside done and at least some of the inside done, then you guys can look forward to quite a few shop projects. I got a 3-ring binder about yay thick, full of ideas that I wanted in that shed. Some are benches, some are just organization, some are charging stations, just all kinds of stuff. I'm going to need it all. So some of them will be coming up in, I don't know, probably a month or two, hopefully. We'll just have to play that one by ear. A new video coming up, I'm in the editing process of it right now, and that is making a chuck for my homemade lathe that I have built. I don't have a chuck right now, and all my money right now is getting tied up into the shed to try and get all that stuff done, and then still to, get your materials for even projects, just household needs, whatever. My money's just tied up, so I don't have a chuck. So the videos coming up, there's going to be a few of them, are basically for my homemade lathe. The very first one will be kind of a 1, 2, 3 block, and I came up with this design mainly because I have these aluminum blanks. Like, I got quite a few of them, really, and by that having them, all my holes tapped in them, all my other attachments can then attach to that, is the idea. I'm actually started on the next project of that, and that is to have some kind of a chuck setup. And the more I think about it, the more that one's even going to be temporary, because I do have a vision of how I want my chuck to be. I've had one designed for a while now. I went and I casted it, and I didn't pay close enough attention, and my actual sand casting was not level, and by the time I caught it, it was kind of too late. Thought I could make it work anyway, and the more I got looking at it, it just ain't gonna work, so I'll have to recast it, and that one's gonna take some time. It ain't gonna be no just simple weekend. It'll be cast one day, drill holes the next day. It's gonna take me a couple weeks to get that one done, but when that one's done, I think I'll be really happy with it. The end goal at some point will be to actually get an actual store-bought chuck. That's the big goal. The other thing is I'm looking at possibly building another lathe before, of course, before my lathe I have now is finished. And that's mainly, I don't think I went big enough, and all my little mistakes I made with this first one, I know how not to make them the next time. So that's something in the process. The one I have now is all casted aluminum, and the new one, I want it to be all steel, and I have a clear vision of what I want. It's just a matter of in particular there's one jig I'm gonna have to figure out how to make it, and I've seen ones similar but not how I need them. So once I get the jig figured out and test it and it works, then I can start the process of actually building my next lathe. The one thing about my lathe now, it's all aluminum, it serves the purpose for now, but I can see me growing out of it very, very quickly, and so this next one I want to build, I want to go bigger yet. But we'll see. I've started to gather up the materials, because we're talking some really hefty iron, and that stuff can get expensive. So I'm trying to go through all my scrap piles and just kind of see what I've got, and we're just kind of gonna go from there. But that's all for this time, guys. I hope to see you guys next time. Look for that chuck video. That will be coming out, I believe, this next weekend. So just look for that, and I will see you guys next time.